There are 7 basic types in JavaScript according to the last ECMAScript specification, and now we will discuss 3 of them. Boolean, which you already know from the previous video, is the type which is useful when you need to choose between 2 states. That's why this type contains only 2 values, true and false. These values are useful when working with logical and comparison operators, basically when you want to compare 2 digits, say 10 and 20, and 10 less than 20 will of course give us true, while 10 more than 20 will give us false. You may consider them as yes and no. The next type is number. Of course, it represents digits. Some programming languages divide this type into several other smaller types: integers, fractional numbers, and long numbers. This type might be necessary when working with huge numbers, long number type. But JavaScript combines all the types in one, except the common representation of numbers, which are integers, without dot notation. There are fractional numbers, let's say 10.12. You're all familiar with this notation from mathematics, and of course it's the same. Another interesting way of representing mathematical values is using scientific notation. It is really useful when it's necessary to represent a huge number. To do that, you want to use an exponent notation, which looks like this. Let's say 1.2 is 1.2 millions. Then we need 1.2 exponent and 6. That is basically like 1.2 multiplied by 10 in the power of 6, or 1.2 multiplied by 1 million. So we can be sure that this notation is the same as 10 in the power of 6. JavaScript uses 64 bits to store a number, basically around 18 quintillion numbers, which is approximately 10,000 times more than we have money in the world, or 140 million times more than people on Earth. This data may of course vary to a different source, but basically you get it. It's a pretty huge number. Most commonly you don't need to think about longer versions of the number type. Otherwise, there are ways to exceed its amount, but this is something necessary when you're at deeper level of understanding JavaScript. The next interesting number is not actually a number, and it's even called not a number, and represented as none. It is used when some calculations doesn't make sense. For example, if you're trying to divide a string by a number, this is it. This is the value that represents that the result of calculation is not a number. String type is used to represent text values. For that purpose you can use single quotes, double quotes, and backticks. But be sure that the quotes at the beginning and at the end of the string are the same. Since if you will start with the double quotes and of course end with a single quote, you see there will be syntax error, and this is not a string, this is just an error creator. I suggest you to keep using one type of quotes for every string literal. You can represent almost everything as a string, and JavaScript will output it as a string except special characters or quotes. For example, if you want to put a single quote inside the string with a single quote, you want to use backslash for that purpose. So just put a backslash here and then put a quote, and as you see we have a single quote in the console. Same thing with special characters like a new line character, which is \n. Just put a backslash before the backslash and you have a /n output. So just put a backslash before each special character to output it in the string. Maybe more careful to say as a string. To add a couple of strings, you may use plus operator. And in this case it is called concatenation operator, because the operation performed is called concatenation for strings. So you just type plus, as you see, and you combine those 2 strings in one. And of course you can do that as much as you like. Single and double quote strings are essentially the same, while backtick quote strings are called template literals. And they are used mostly for templates because of their behavior. You can include a variable inside a backtick string like this. You just add a $sign and brackets, and inside those brackets you can type an expression. And as you see, the expression is calculated and inserted into the string. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.